The BBC 1994 production of Measure for Measure, directed by Thacker and starring Tom Wilkinson, yes, he from the full Monty as the Duke, is really difficult to get hold of. I managed to access it via the Educational Recording Agency, era.org.uk. But it is interesting, and its dark modern perspective lends itself brilliantly for being referenced within A-star essays. So let me give you 10 key moments which you can use in your looming exam. Frank, fearless, bruised, battered, yes. Stay tuned and watch Schofield on Shakespeare.
The play opens with the Duke slumped on a sofa watching a huge screen showing the depravity within his city. Scenes include a woman apparently approaching to give a near-naked man a blowjob, a vehicle on fire, an image of a strip club, streets laden with rubbish. So what is our Duke doing about this? Nothing apart from sipping a drink, which appears to be whiskey. No wonder he has chosen to elect Angelo in his absence to supply, so he can try to sort out the mess. In this movie, Act 1, Scene 2 takes place in a strip club rather than a street. In this moment, Lucio has just walked off in concern to learn the truth about what has happened to Claudio, dismissively brushing aside a young woman in the process, presumably one he had been planning to engage in some kind of paid sexual activity. Madame Mitigation is in despair, not just about being custom shrunk, but at a girl vomiting right in front of her within this obviously seedy establishment. Meanwhile, while Claudio asks why he has been shown thus to the world, he is referring to the fact that he has been made to strip completely naked. He then winces as the guard plunges his rubber-gloved hand up his backside, presumably to check for drugs. Isabella is first seen in Act 1, Scene 4, wishing for a more strict restraint. Fortunately, Francesca is on hand with some giant scissors to chop off her beautiful long hair. This is a woman hell-bent on self-renunciation. This Duke likes to choose his moments carefully and sensitively. And so, Juliet is having contractions and is on the verge of giving birth, so he questions her as to whether she loves the man that wronged her. In Act 2, Scene 4, when Angelo earnestly declares that his words express his purpose, he is indeed as good as his word, and moves in to passionately kiss Isabella, who struggles immediately and pulls herself away in disbelief and outrage. When he finds Isabella uncooperative, he gets violent and drags her screaming across the floor. Before threatening her with his hand, holding her down over her face, she needs to fit her consent to his sharp appetite, lay by all nicety and prolixious blushes, or Claudio will die. But interestingly, Isabella ends up doing some pinning down of her own. Here she's enraged with Claudio following his comments about the terrifying unknownness of death, and his suggestion that possibly she might be prepared to help him out by going through with Angelo's devilish plan. In Act 4, the Duke lies to Isabella and tells her that in spite of everything they have done, Angelo has gone through with Claudio's execution. When Lucio comes in this production, he cradles and rocks her, and provides her with genuine non-sexual comfort and support. In Act 5, interestingly, the return of the Duke is broadcast live on television. Isabella is able to watch the preceding dialogue live between the Duke and Angelo, before rushing into the room to implore for justice. With this play, we always want to know how Isabella responds at the end. Well, we're left in limbo. The screen freezes following the Duke's nonsense about his motion, which much imports your good. Certainly, Isabella isn't rushing towards him to accept. How might you weave in a few references to this production within an essay? Here's a question. In Measure for Measure, marriage is seen as a punishment and a means of control rather than as a celebration and a rewards. How far do you agree with this view of Measure for Measure? Shakespearean comedies typically end with marriages and a celebratory air. One of the reasons why it is so problematic for modern audiences to classify Measure for Measure as a comedy is because the marriages at the end of the play are, in the main, wholly unsatisfactory. Mariana may remain hell-bent on marrying Angelo, but much of the audience are likely to be mystified as to why it is that she doesn't crave no better man. Within the BBC 1994 production, Angelo is seen both forcefully kissing Isabella and then dragging her across the floor before pinning her down violently in a chair. Such a man seems wholly unsuitable as a husband to any woman, notwithstanding Isabella's claim that he was to some extent honourable before he met her. I partly think a due sincerity governed his deeds till he did look on me. However, it is notable that Mariana does not see marriage to Angelo as a punishment, and, depending on the production, nor may Angelo. Yes, the latter claims that he craves death more willingly than mercy, but surely the resumption of a relationship to a woman who is devoted to him, and to whom he was previously engaged, cannot remain without appeal in the mid to long term. Indeed, within the same BBC 1994 production, Mariana clasps Angelo's hand after the Duke has brought them together, and he does not withdraw. Angelo may not be able to see the marriage as something to be celebrated at this point, but perhaps he will in the future. Meanwhile, Holderness is correct when he paints a positive picture of Mariana. She is one of the play's victors. She has redeemed herself from a life of melancholy isolation.
Remember, of course, that your references to different productions must work within your essay. Nonetheless, I hope this video has been helpful. Good luck for your exam, and many thanks for watching.